Cyber Threat Brief for May 17, 2026. WordPress e-commerce stores face active skimmer attacks via unpatched funnel builder plugin. Microsoft quietly fixed a critical Azure Kubernetes privilege escalation, but refuses to issue a CVE or common vulnerabilities and exposures. Nginx patches 16-year-old heap overflow with public exploit code now available. Here's the full breakdown of today's top security stories. Daily Security Brief, 2026-05-17. Next section, Critical Alerts. Funnel Builder Plugin Skimming Campaign, Active Exploitation. WordPress sites running Funnel Builder versions before 3.15.0.3 face active exploitation. Attackers inject malicious JavaScript into WooCommerce checkout pages via an unauthenticated endpoint that allows calling internal methods without permission checks. The vulnerability affects over 40,000 stores. Attackers plant fake Google Tag Manager scripts that load payment skimmers, stealing credit card numbers, CVV, and billing addresses via WebSocket connections to WSS/protectwss.com/WS. Action: update Funnel Builder to version 3.15.0.3 immediately. Check settings, check out external scripts for unfamiliar entries and remove them. Review checkout page source for unexpected script tags masquerading as GTM or analytics code. This is active skimming, not theoretical risk. Source: The Hacker News. Nginx heap overflow, CVE 2026-42945. Critical heap buffer overflow in Nginx NGX HTTP rewrite module enables denial of service and remote code execution if ASLR is disabled. CVSS, the Common Vulnerability Scoring System, 9.2, introduced 16 years ago. Proof of concept exploit code is now public. The flaw affects servers using rewrite and set directives when replacement strings contain question marks. Exploitation involves cross-request heap manipulation to corrupt memory pool cleanup pointers. Action: update to Nginx plus 37.0.0, R36P4 or R32P6. For open source, update to versions 1.31.0 or 1.30.1. Review rewrite rules containing question marks. Test in staging before production deployment. Verify ASLR is enabled on all web servers. Source: Security Week. Next section, Business and Infrastructure Threats. Azure Kubernetes Privilege Escalation, Silent Fix. Security researcher Justin O'Leary reports Microsoft silently patched a critical Azure backup for AKS privilege escalation after rejecting his vulnerability report and blocking CVE, or Common Vulnerabilities and Exposures, assignment. The flaw allowed users with only backup contributor role on a backup vault to gain cluster admin access without existing Kubernetes permissions. Microsoft claims the issue required pre-existing administrative access, which O'Leary disputes. CERT/CC validated the vulnerability, VU #284,781, but closed the case under CNA hierarchy rules. Following disclosure, the original attack path no longer works and Azure now requires manual trusted access configuration before backup enablement. Action: for AKS users running Azure Backup, review backup contributor role assignments. Check trusted access configurations on clusters and ensure only authorized service principals have cluster admin. Audit backup vault permissions and restrict to minimum necessary access. Monitor Azure activity logs for unexpected backup operations or trusted access changes. Source: Bleeping Computer. Black File Vishing Extortion Campaign, UNC 6671. Google Threat Intelligence Group tracks an ongoing extortion campaign by UNC 6671, operating under the Black File brand. The group targets organizations via voice phishing and single sign-on compromise using adversary-in-the-middle techniques to bypass MFA, multi-factor authentication. Campaign demonstrates sophisticated social engineering combined with technical SSO compromise capabilities. Action: review SSO authentication logs for anomalous login patterns. Enforce phishing-resistant MFA methods, FIDO2, hardware tokens, for privileged accounts. Train security teams and help desk staff on phishing tactics. Implement conditional access policies requiring device compliance for SSO access. Source: Data Breaches, Net. Next section, Ransomware Claims, Last 48H. One claim tracked across one group in the last 48 hours. These are unverified claims from ransomware leak sites. Group Victim Sector Country, Stormus www. Kai. ID Transportation Indonesia. Note: PT Kereta API Indonesia is the national railway company operating train services throughout Indonesia. Next section, Ransomware and Extortion. Grafana GitHub token compromise and extortion. Grafana disclosed an unauthorized party obtained a token granting access to the company's GitHub environment, and downloaded its codebase. The attacker attempted to blackmail and extort Grafana, demanding payment to prevent publishing the stolen database. Grafana refused to pay the ransom per FBI guidance. No customer data or personal information was accessed. Coinbase cartel claimed responsibility. The group is an offshoot of Shiny Hunters, Scattered Spider, and Lapsus Dollar ecosystems, focusing on data theft and extortion without encryption. Coinbase cartel has amassed 170 victims across healthcare, technology, transportation, manufacturing, and business services since emerging in September 2025. Action: review GitHub access token permissions and implement time-limited tokens. Enable GitHub advanced security for secret scanning. Audit organization members and third-party app integrations. Rotate long-lived tokens and implement just-in-time access for CI/CD systems. Sources: The Hacker News. Instructure Shiny Hunters payment debate media outlets continue investigating whether Instructure paid Shiny Hunters after the extortion group's second attack on May 7. Despite pledging transparency, Instructure has not directly addressed the payment question in recent updates. The incident highlights ongoing debate in the security community about ransom payments to extortion groups. Source: Data Breaches. Net. Illuminate Education, data breach lawsuit. California Supreme Court ruled in J.M. v. Illuminate Education, Inc., a case closely watched by edtech vendors regarding liability for data breaches. Illuminate suffered a December 2021 breach affecting 1.7 million students in New York and 434,000 students in other states. The ruling provides precedent for holding educational technology vendors accountable for security failures. Source: Data Breaches, Net. Next section, General Security News. Russian Kazuar backdoor evolves to P2P botnet. Russian intelligence group Secret Blizzard Turla, FSB linked, transformed its Kazuar backdoor into a modular peer-to-peer botnet with enhanced stealth capabilities. The malware now operates using 3 modules: kernel, central coordinator, bridge, external communications proxy, and worker espionage operations. The architecture uses leader election, where one infected system communicates with command and control, while others remain silent, reducing detection surface. Internal communications use IPC protocols including Windows messaging, mail slots, and named pipes with AES encryption and protobuf serialization. The worker module performs keylogging, screenshots, file system harvesting, system reconnaissance, MAPI email collection, and window monitoring. Kazuar now supports 150 configuration options including AMSI bypass, ETW bypass, and WLDP bypass. The malware's code lineage dates back to 2005, with documented activity since 2017 targeting government, diplomatic, and defense organizations across Europe, Asia, and Ukraine. Action: focus detection on behavioral analysis rather than static signatures. Monitor for unusual named pipe activity, mail slot usage, and internal IPC patterns. Investigate systems with unexpected AES encrypted interprocess communications. Review event tracing logs for gaps indicating ETW bypass attempts. Hunt for long-term persistence mechanisms in government and defense networks. Source: Bleeping Computer. Medicare fraud using stolen patient records. Federal jury convicted Ruby Scott, 55, of Farmington Hills, Michigan, for operating a $1.6 million Medicare fraud scheme. Scott owned Delta Home Healthcare LLC and used stolen patient records to defraud Medicare from 2018 through 2021. The case demonstrates intersection of healthcare data breaches and financial fraud. Source: Data Breaches. Net. Next section, Patch Priority. WordPress Funnel Builder. Update to 3.15.0. 3 for 40,000 plus WooCommerce stores facing active payment skimming. Nginx. Apply patches for CVE 2026-42945 heap overflow, CVSS 9.2 with public POC available. Perl LWP. User Agent. Update to 6.83 for CVE 2026-8368 authorization header leaks on cross-origin redirects. Vim, patch CVE 2026-46483 command injection via tar hash vimunter. Update for CVE 2026-44283 RBAC authorization bypass via PrevKV transactions. Next section, Vulnerability Disclosures. CVE 2026-46483, Vim command injection in Vim's tar hash vimunter function via missing shell escape special flag. EPSS, the exploit prediction scoring system, scores 0.2, 38th percentile. Microsoft Security Response Center published information on this vulnerability. Source: MSRC. CVE 2026-44283, ECT RBAC bypass, read access via Prev KV and ECT transactions may bypass RBAC authorization checks. EPSS score 0.0, 9th percentile. Affects ECT deployments using RBAC for access control. Source, MSRC. CVE 2026-8368, Perl LWP, User Agent Header Leak, LWP, User Agent versions before 6.83 for Perl leak authorization and proxy authorization headers on cross-origin redirects. EPSS score 0.0, 4th percentile. Affects Perl applications handling HTTP redirects with authentication credentials. Source, MSRC. CVE 2026-8328, Perl FTP PASV SSRF, FTP PASV SSRF vulnerability where FTPCP does not use actual peer address and trusts server-supplied PASV host address. EPSS score 0.0, 12th percentile. Affects Perl FTP clients vulnerable to server-side request forgery. Source, MSRC. Next section, Trends and Context. Active exploitation campaigns target e-commerce infrastructure and payment processing chains, with attackers disguising malicious code as legitimate analytics tools. The Microsoft Azure Privilege Escalation case highlights tension between security researchers and vendors over disclosure practices and CVE assignment authority. Russian state-sponsored groups continue long-term evolution of espionage infrastructure, adapting traditional backdoors into distributed architectures designed for persistence and stealth. That concludes today's cyber threat brief. From Carolina Clear Tech. Stay patched, stay vigilant.